We know how to fight down south. We've come too far. They didn't have segregation up there, but we had it down here. We beat Jim Crow down here. We beat George Wallace down here. We beat segregated lunch counters down here. And we're going to beat this mess down here. Somebody said down here. Down here. Down here. In North Carolina. I want y'all to give it up for one of our sheroes in the movement, none other than Miss Carolyn Q. Coleman.
That has mixed emotions for me. It's the day that we commemorate 50 years since our beloved Medgar Evers, who was the NAACP's Mississippi State Director, died. He didn't just die. He was a man that was out working so that African Americans in Mississippi would have the right to vote. And on this night, coming from a rally in Mississippi, he drove up to his home. And his wife says that she and the children were sitting in the living room and heard the car drive up. The kid said, "There's Daddy." And she thought, oh, he's finally home. And I just came from Mississippi 3 weeks ago where she told the story of having gotten up to go and meet him at the door and heard the shot ring out, where he was killed by the bullet of a coward, who decided to take his life. And if you can imagine hearing that bullet ring out and seeing her reach to the ground to lift him, knowing that he was dying, and his last words were to her, "Take care of my children." And then he told her how much he loved her. Well, that doesn't sound like it's a terrible thing. But when you have given your life, that those of us who are here today would be able to register to vote, and then have a coward General Assembly take away that right by giving us a poll tax. Let me tell you what. People like Medgar Evers, and by the way, the wife of Vernon Damer, who was NAACP president in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, was also there. And she said that he worked all of his life that people might be able to register to vote. And that night they burned his home down. And he told her to take the children and go out the back door. Well, when she was going out the back door, she heard shots ringing out as the house was burning. And he stayed in to shoot back at them. And she said, you know, he died without ever being able to register to vote. Now, that doesn't sound like it's a lot to register to vote. But I'm telling you, people died. They laid their lives down. They laid their bodies down as bridges that we might walk over to freedom. And then we here today have to say to this General Assembly, we mad as hell and we ain't gonna take it. Now, let me say this. This is a governor that we thought would be a little better than he is. He has talked about. we knew how bad he could be, but coming from Charlotte, we thought the people in Charlotte might have some influence on him. But he has come here and taken away just about everything that we've worked for the last 20 or 30 years. He has given his people, the sister just said that, given his people an 8% raise when he came in. And he recommended that teachers who teach our children be given a 1% raise. Can you see the difference? Well, that's not acceptable. He has talked about, we come here from Wisconsin. And I want him to know I've never been to Wisconsin. I don't plan to go to Wisconsin. But I have been in North Carolina since 1979. Came here from Mississippi and Alabama thinking that life would be a little bit better here. And got here and the Klan was just as bad as the Mississippi and Alabama. Well, I can tell you that's not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
I didn't come from Wisconsin. I live in Greensboro. I plan to stay in Greensboro. And just like the governor, I'm an elected official in Greensboro. I'm a county commissioner representing citizens just as he is. And our citizens will not take this as nothing and just let them do what they want to do. We will be here every week as long as the General Assembly is here. And then we will tell the governor he's not going to escape. When the General Assembly leaves, we will be over at the Capitol visiting with him. It's not acceptable. We cannot let them live in peace. We cannot let them live in peace. We cannot let them live in peace.
We cannot let them live in peace.
They have got to know that there are people who are not having food to eat. Just today I came from a department of a board meeting from my county where we were dealing with transportation, where 43 people are being laid off. And they said, well, they're not going to have to be governed by the new law. They'll be covered by the old law, which benefited employees. Well, the old law didn't benefit employees because they still didn't get that much to live on. So don't you think that because they're changing the law, that they're changing from much of what was existing for nothing. People lived in North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, that we always thought was a little more progressive than Mississippi and Alabama. But I can tell you, if you put the two of them side by side, there's not much difference. People are not living much better here than they are in those states. And we must say today, we will no longer take them giving vouchers to students that they claim are low-income black students that I'm supposed to believe they're interested in. When they become interested in low-income black students, something in the milk ain't clean. I can tell you that it's starting with them. But 2 years from now, it will be white students going to private church schools who will get the same money. So don't be fooled. It moves every day toward their benefit. And we could go on and on about all of the unjust laws that they're passing. But you know what? The Lord has promised us. He has promised us that if we would do His will, if we would look out for those who are less fortunate, He will look out for us. Now, I'm not paraphrasing His words. I'm just telling you the way I believe it. And I don't believe He's going to let this happen and nothing changes in North Carolina. These same people, will see the day when life for them will not be as good as it is today. I do believe that in time, all of this will change. For those who sit in this General Assembly will see that life for them will not be a crystal stair. It will have tax in it. It will have boards in it. And so we have to remember that goes around comes around. Thank you and God bless.
Hallelujah.